Let's make some noise. Come on.
Thank you, as always, Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. It's the first time I got that right. I made a self-proclaimed edict a few weeks ago that I was not going to refer to Nick Foles as anything other than the Super Bowl MVP, and I really haven't been good at doing it, but now I got that right tonight. So thank you, Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles, for that rousing introduction. Welcome back, everybody, to your Hump Day Wednesday night edition of the Final Word with your boy MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. I hope the heck fire. Everything's going well with you. Everything's doing good here. Had some snow today as winter trudges on. But we're going to get into some things tonight. We're going to talk fallout from last night's Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony and some of the lunacy, straight up lunacy I've been hearing around the water cooler today in reference to Andrew Jones and his defensive abilities as it rates against the all-time center fielders in Major League Baseball. Nonsense from people that don't know what they're talking about and should never again speak of baseball if they cannot see that Andrew Jones is not the greatest defensive center fielder ever to play the game. That is such disrespect to some of the greats of this baseball game. We're going to get into some of that. The 2027 first-time ballot people have been introduced. So a couple notables, one really notable person that's going to end up on the 2027 Hall of Fame ballot for the first time, and that's Buster Posey, the former catcher of the San Francisco Giants, should be a lock as a first ballot Hall of Famer. So that might be a little bit of a roadblock for Chase Utley, but other than that, it doesn't look all that menacing for Chase to perhaps get in next year, and maybe even Jimmy Rollins too. So maybe we'll discuss a little bit about that. The Eagles' offensive coordinator woes continue as another candidate has taken himself off the list. Brian Daboll has taken on, or has basically said that he's going to work, that he wants the Buffalo job. So he's not coming here. Yet another person has shunned this model franchise, the Philadelphia Eagles, and not want to come here. Why? Why, oh why do people not want to come here? Is this job not desirable? Are there people out there that feel that, I don't know, that there's some issues internal to the Philadelphia Eagles? Has word not spread around the league that maybe perhaps Jalen Hurts isn't user-friendly? Maybe perhaps Nick Sirianni is a clown, and that's true. So we'll break some of the more offensive coordinator drama things down for you tonight. The other night segment, your day in Philadelphia sports history, as well as your baseball card review, all of that on tap this evening on the program. And yes, the phone lines are open. And one other thing, as the show title indicates, read the room, because right now in this town, when it comes to sports, and yes, am I going to sit here and tell you that I'm a rah-rah kind of guy? No, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I'm not a rah-rah kind of guy. You should know me by now. But what is going on with our franchises when it comes to certain aspects of being a good sports town? Why, oh why, are we struggling so much to find an offensive coordinator, to bring in a high-priced free agent, or close a deal on a high-priced free agent, and on the hockey side of things, to pull off some sort of trade or an interesting free agent signing? Why? Why is Philadelphia become all of a sudden a repellent to other athletes? Maybe we'll get into some of that, because I do want to address the Philly situation. I kind of broke dirt on that last night a little bit, and the fallout from the Dave Dombrowski press conference the other day, or was that yesterday? I honestly don't think the Phillies are that far off, and I don't think they're that far behind or far removed from what they are. Now, granted, they're no further than where they need to be, but as I said, my plan to get this team better was never to go out and sign Cody Bellinger, Tucker, Bichette, who else? Lonzo, yes, but I wasn't ready to break the bank, and I think it's, again, somewhat, I guess the word spoiled maybe comes to mind when it comes to this type of stuff, when it comes to the Phillies. I think we're spoiled when it comes to the Phillies. Yeah, it makes no sense to me to say that, but I'll explain myself later in the show and what I mean by that. So we'll get into all that and more. And the phone lines are going to open here in about 2 seconds. So let me get that set up for you to jump in and either contribute to the conversation or start your own, because I'm all about that 100%. Eagles interviewed Matt Nagy. You think is a good choice. Matt Nagy is the latest offensive candidate to be kind of pushed into the forefront. Now that Brian Dable has left, McDaniel ain't coming. Who else spurred the Eagles there? I mean, we're running out of names, so why not? Again, Adam, I think I've said this before. I really don't care who comes here. And I justified it by saying you could have the greatest coach, coordinator, whatever. If you don't have the buy-in from your quarterback, if you don't have the buy-in from the organization, if you don't have the buy-in from the head coach, in the case of a coordinator, it ain't going to matter who you bring here. And I don't think, again, from a certain point of view, I think Eagle fans are misreading the room about this whole situation. And it's okay to say that. I think they're misreading the room. I don't think this is a desirable job. I think people are staying away from it. And I don't know the reasons. I mean, we can kind of connect the dots a little bit. Nick Sirianni being the first one. Only head coach in modern football history that needs a bodyguard on the sidelines. Then you go to Jalen Hurts. All the stuff that comes out about him not wanting to do this or not wanting to do that or not being able to throw down the middle. And that's a fact that I think a lot of Eagles fans don't want to admit about their alleged league quarterback. He doesn't throw the football down the middle. I put out graphics. I've talked about this. Jalen Hurts completed 51 passes down the middle of the field this year, and he attempted about 500 of them. Passes, not to the middle, but total. That works out to less than 10% of his completions were down the middle of the field. He doesn't throw the ball down the middle of the field, or more importantly, he doesn't complete the ball down the middle of the field. I'm telling you, I know Eagle fans don't want to hear it. I know homers certainly don't want to hear it. I know delusional people that feel that the sun sets and rises under the blanket of freedom that Nick Sirianni has provided you don't want to hear it. But I think there's problems with this organization that other people don't want to be part of. And I think that's a reality that Eagle fans need to start kind of coming to grips with. So to answer your question, Matt Nagy, sure. Whatever. At this point, I don't care. I was totally fine with Kevin Petula, to be honest with you. Be totally honest with you. Sure, why not Matt Nagy? Until he finds a job somewhere else. Then who's next? Who's the next name? And there's no official links. Right? This is just us going down our own mental Rolodex of coordinators as they fall away. All right, who's next? All right, he's gone. All right, who's next? All right, he's gone. All right, who's next? I don't know. Is there any official word that he's been in contact with the Eagles or the Eagles been in contact with him? That's something that we want. Again, I think we're misreading the room. And I think we're looking outwards and others are looking inwards and saying this is not a place that they want to come to. For whatever reason. And we know the reasons. So to answer your question, sure. Sure. Cody Bellinger signs with the back of the Yankees. I've called that 1,000 times. I didn't see that. Is that breaking news there, Adam? I didn't see that that's official. I figured it was. The Yankees had done absolutely nothing this offseason. They could not afford to lose Bellinger. They had to bring him back. But again, I don't want to tip my hand with this. What's Cody Bellinger, Bo Bichette, Kyle Tucker? I mean, how many more of these types of players do we need? We already have our own, right? We already have our own high-priced talent. That hasn't worked for us. And I don't think throwing in Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, and Bo Bichette on top of the pile would make us any better. It's about changing this team's DNA. It's about changing the philosophy of how this team goes about game-to-game situations. It's about learning how to be a contact hitter. It's about learning how to move runners along. Remember those moments. I know time has passed, and we're removed from the season. We're removed from the day-to-day 8 for 19, or I should say 4 for 19 with runners in scoring position. We're removed from those moments. We're removed from that nonsense daily that they could not drive runners home. We're removed from getting runners on first and third with one out and scoring nothing. We're removed from all that. We're removed from the bad plate discipline, swinging at baseballs in the ground. We are long removed from all that. It's not about bringing in another. I don't need another Kyle Schwarber. I don't need another Bryce Harper. I need a contact hitter. I need a guy that can set the table or move runners along, or how's this? Lay down a bunt. Here's an interesting stat. Do you know the Phillies in 2025 executed 16 sacrifice fly RBI plays all season? 16 in 162 games? That's beyond bad. I need players that can do that. I got enough 50 home run guys. I got enough 45 home run guys. I got enough guys that strike out 230 times a season. I need someone that puts barrel to bat or barrel to ball, hits the ball either to the opposite way or to his way, and moves runners along. We forget. We're removed from all of it, and all of a sudden we're going back to this baseline, I need more power hitters. No, we don't. Our lineup is critically, negligently, and criminally unstructured as it is. I don't need another, three-legged table to throw on top of this pyramid. All right, I have enough of them. We're going to go a little bit later on. I'm going to show you my projected 2026 Phillies lineup and position players, pitching, bullpen, all that, as if the season were to start today. And as I was putting together this lineup, you know what I was doing? Settling. Because we don't have certain hitters to go in certain positions in the lineup. But that's nothing new. We've known that. And that's what I'm upset about the most about this offseason. Not that we didn't get Bichette. Not that we didn't get Tucker or Bellinger. I didn't want those guys. I need people to move runners along. My kingdom for a goddamn number 2 hitter in my lineup. We don't have anybody on this baseball team that can bat second in the lineup. We have one guy, the guy that I settled on. And I don't even know if he's going to be on the team on opening day. That's what I want. I don't want Bo Bichette, Cody Bellinger, Kyle. I don't want those guys. I already got them. They're named Turner, Harper, and Schwarber. I need someone that puts the ball in play. And what they're doing, I know it's pissing you off, and I don't mean you personally, Adam, you as in the Phillies nation, because I said it last night. I've never heard Dave Dombrowski mention the young players by name. He mentioned them in November or in October at the end of the season press conference. He's never mentioned them by name before. He's always said, yeah, we got to get younger. We got to give the young guys a shot. But now he was so far to say Miller, Crawford, Painter, Raconis, Kemp. He named them by name at the end of the season press conference. They're going to get their shot, and that's what I want. And I think that might be the key. Listen, guys, we got a 6-month baseball season that has not even started yet. Could be the last baseball season for a minute, depending on what happens with the CBA. We got the All-Star game. We got the Futures game, the draft. We got the WBC. We got all these great baseball things that have not even begun yet, and we're punting on the season already. And again, if I'm sitting here being the voice of reason, something is wrong. Something is very wrong. I'm not ready to sell the Phillies short this year. I'm not, because I think they're committed, whether through necessity of they just don't have enough money to go out and buy any more players, or by an actual philosophy switch to give some of the young players an opportunity to play. What's the other thing we bitch the most about when it comes to the Phillies? Why the hell do we never see these minor leaguers play? Why are the drafts literally spend a career in the minors? Why are the Braves and the Dodgers and other teams so proficient in churning out prospects, and ours are hanging out? Well, I think we're going to get our wish in 2026. Again, I don't know if it's by necessity, because they just don't have – the cupboards are dry and barren, and John Middleton's already given the last ounce of blood and semen to get more money. Maybe he's out. I don't know. But for whatever reason, we're going to get our wish, or I'm going to get my wish. And I'm going to start seeing some younger players produce, or not produce, but get the opportunity to produce. And, Thompson's Freudian slipped yesterday by saying, well, Crawford's going to play. I mean, Crawford's going to get every opportunity to play. Painter's going to start. Painter's going to get every opportunity to earn a spot. Man, thank God Rob doesn't work for the CIA. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm okay. I really am. Would I have liked to have Bo Bichette? Yeah, because he's a contact hitter who can hit for power. And he would be very nice to stick in the number 2 hole in this lineup. Absolutely. 100%. But I wasn't going into the offseason thinking he was going to be here. I wanted Pete Alonso. I wanted Luis Ariz. But that's it. That's all I wanted as position players went. I wanted Keely Jansen and maybe a Patrick Corbin, or perhaps re-sign Walker Buehler. But that was all I wanted. All the other holes were going to be filled in by young players. And that's what I think we're going to get. And that, to me, is going to be a fun ride. It is. So with that being said, of course, we don't know that. Rob Thompson could be brought, because there's a big X factor here, and that's Rob Thompson, right? The opening day lineup can consist of Kyle Schwarber leading off, Bryce Harper batting second, JT batting third, Alec Boehm cleaning up, Moon DeSosa batting fifth. Yeah, I get it. There's a Rob Thompson effect here. I understand that. But I don't even think Rob, I think this is childproof right now. I don't think Rob has any other opportunity or other options but to give chance to play for Kemp, Painter, Crawford. God, I hope it's Raconis. And then a little bit later on in the season is Aiden Miller. I really do believe that. So I'm not punting on the season. I'm not. I'm excited for the season because I'm going to get my wish to see young players. So anyway, let's stop all this violence. And let's get to our night in Philadelphia sports history. All right. Let's strap in, strap on, strap up. Keep your head, hands, feet inside the car at all times. And here we go. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. 2018, man. In an absolutely dominating performance, the Eagles captured the NFC Championship in a 38-7 thumping of the Vikings behind backup quarterback and eventual Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. Foles was simply scintillating. I'll say that again. Foles was simply scintillating, throwing for 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, while leading the Eagles to their 3rd Super Bowl appearance. The Vikings jetted out to a 7-0 lead, only to see the Eagles defense shut them down the rest of the way. The Eagles would go on to score 38 unanswered points, dismantling a stingy Viking defense that surrendered just 16 points per game during the regular season. The Eagles were victorious as home underdogs for the 2nd consecutive playoff game, and of course would take that momentum into Minnesota the following week against the Patriots and a Super Bowl victory over the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. I remember watching that game. They got off to a real wonky start. Minnesota moved the football, but then there was the Patrick Robinson pick 6 that sort of just sent that thing, completely turned the game around and set up Nick Foles for that epic performance that he had against the Vikings. And then he would tell the Vikings to hold his beer because he would have another epic performance 2 weeks later against the Patriots, en route to winning the Super Bowl MVP. That's right, Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP. But on this night, a great night, the Eagles punched their ticket to Super Bowl 52 by defeating the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game. That is your day in Philadelphia sports history, and it is brought to you by the good folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And this is our schedule here for today or for this week. Tonight, you have Pittsburgh Sports Desk, you got me, and then I'll be back around the midnight hour doing some Flyers Mammoth hockey post-game as the Flyers are underway about a half hour ago in Utah. Already up, I saw somebody post the score. I'm not watching the game right now. That's all right. I'll catch up. They're up 2-0, I believe. Then tomorrow, the Gridiron Weekly, final word with me, and then all of our weekend programming, which will lead us back around to Sunday, and we'll start this magical ride all over again. So there you have it. The Eagles beat the Vikings in a dominating NFC chant, continuing to dominate the odds, to just defy the odds. I hope Jacob Stidham is watching. Sit down and YouTube that game. YouTube Super Bowl 52. Give himself some motivation heading into that game against the Patriots on Sunday, and see what they if lightning cannot strike twice for backup quarterbacks against New England. But let's see how that all works out. Okay, so our phone lines are now open. If you want to jump on in, the link has just fallen into your chat room or your whatever platform you're watching this on, and you hop on in and we'll have some fun with that. Joe Hale checks in and says, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Joe?" Adam says, "I want the young guys to get their chance in the big leagues." Absolutely, Adam. What did I hear all summer? Again, not necessarily from you, but what did I hear from people that checked into this program or checked into the Fightins final all summer? I want to see what Justin Crawford can do. Why isn't Justin Crawford here? I want to see what Andrew Painter. Now, Andrew Painter should not have been here last year, and that's good that he wasn't. But I want to see what Andrew Painter can do. And then for those of us that are really in tune to the Phillies minor league system, it was when can Gabe Raconis come up? Or, of course, Aiden Miller can come up. Or, Gene Cabrera, Moises Chase, Seth Johnson, Arun Escobar. We can continue going down the list all day long. But the bottom line, if you don't play with these toys, folks, Dave Dombrowski's going to trade them. I don't want that. But no, I absolutely want to see the young players play. And I think we've lost sight of that. I think we've lost sight of what this team was or understanding the duality of this team heading into the offseason. We already knew they were capped out in their own personal opinion. We already knew that they had too many big contracts. And then with the 3 looming free agents, Suarez, who got officially introduced today by the Boston Red Sox, how can he understand English but not speak it? Did you guys see that press conference? He can understand it, but he can't speak it. How is that? That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. He needs a translator to talk it, but he doesn't need one to listen to it. What would you call that? That's not bilingual? Is that like what? Monolingual? I mean, how is that? I've never seen that before. How frustrating is that for you as a person? I can understand a different language, but I can't speak it. I don't get that. Maybe you guys can enlighten me. But he went off to the Boston Red Sox. You got going back after Kyle Schwarber, they got him. They have re-signing JT Realmuto. So I wasn't expecting all this. I wasn't expecting a Bo Bichette sweepstakes or a Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker. I wasn't expecting any of it. I wanted to see the DNA of this baseball team changed. And Bo Bichette doesn't change the DNA. I mean, he helps it, but he doesn't change it. Cody Bellinger does not change the DNA of this team. Kyle Tucker does not change the DNA. It's just another friggin' power bat. And as we get deeper into the show, I want to show you how hard it was for me to put together this lineup. It was really hard because we don't have a number 2. Don't have a 2. And then 5 and 6 are weird, right? Because it's funny because at 3 and 4, we're pretty strong. 7, 8, 9, I think we can be strong, but the rest of it's up in the air. It's the weirdest lineup I've ever seen. But we'll get into that. Arise, Bader, please. The hell with Bader. I don't hear about Bader. Belusa Arise, absolutely. 3-legged table. It is, man. I don't need another 3-legged table here, man. I don't. I'm tired of putting the phone book underneath one of the table legs to kind of stabilize it. All right? I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. Why can't we have a 4-legged table? Right? Why can't we build a lineup like everybody else does? Why do we got to kind of mix and match, like your old Monopoly board at home where you got like big fuzzy dice to replace the actual dice. You got chess pieces to replace some of the game pieces. You got paper with the money, the numbers written on it because the money's gone. Why do we got to constantly have to be like that? Why can't I just get a new game? I don't know. I don't get it. Adam says Flyers are up 2-0. Oh, okay, that was you, Adam. All right. Thank you for updating us all on the status of the Flyers. All right, let's go to phones. Who did I take first last night? Was that you, Joe? Did I take you first last night, Joe, or did I take Mike first? I think I took Mike. All right, Joe Hale, what's up?
You took me first last night, but it's all
good. Tomorrow night, Michael Papernick gets to go first.
I have an update on. He doesn't want his phone at the hospital.
Why doesn't he want his phone at the hospital?
So much pain right now.
Because why?
He's in so much pain. He has to go to rehab how to walk again after surgery.
Ugh. Well, it's because the core muscles, right?
Yes, from him laying there.
Yeah. Ugh. Man, I wish you could. I wish you'd bring his phone in just so he could tune in. I think it would lift his spirits. But I of course I understand if he's in too much pain. Maybe I'm not the person you need to watch when you're suffering. Maybe I'm not the kind of guy that will bring joy to somebody that's suffering. I don't know, Ricky Deal. I think I could help you, man, but I don't want to be the one to push you over the edge either.
I want to talk about voting candidate. Matt Nagy was in town because ESPN reported it also.
I have not seen any official links between Eagles and Matt Nagy. I'm not saying there isn't, but I haven't seen it.
I don't think he'll get the job. I think it's going to be Matt Kafka, the Giants offensive coordinator.
You mean Mike Kafka?
Yes.
The former Eagles backup quarterback?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
So am I. Listen, Joe, I said at the beginning of this, at this point, again, I don't care who it is. I just need to know that they can work with who we got here.
And
right?
It all falls on Jalen Hurts because nobody wants to be here because of Jalen Hurts.
You think it's because of Jalen? You don't think it's because of Sirianni? You think it's Jalen Hurts?
1A, 1B next Sirianni. It's both of them combined. If Jalen
let me ask you this, though. What does that say? Like, here's the deal. We are a perennial franchise. We are a Super Bowl, literally, technically, still the defending Super Bowl champions. Technically, even though we're not playing anymore, but we are still we're the current Super Bowl champions currently, technically. Why doesn't people want to come here?
Because they're tired of Jalen Hurts. It's bullshit. I'm going to completely say it. Him showing up late to meetings, to training camp. It's being reported that he's been late to team meetings. He reminds me of Allen Iverson that was on his way out of here that skipped the practice and said the practice ran.
Okay. I mean, Joe, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
A.J. Brown being like a TO.
So you think it's the drama that the Eagles have right now? It's the Sirianni, Brown, Hurts drama.
Yes.
You might be right. I think you're right.
There's only one way to tell when A.J. Brown gets traded what's going to happen.
We'll see. We'll see.
I want to put what Mike said in a comment. Ariza and Bader. I say you just go get Ariza.
I don't know why they haven't. I mean, yeah, he's out there. I mean, you probably get it for about 1 year, $13 million.
There's tons of free agents. I like how the Phillies were never on Bellinger to begin with.
No, we just pivot to Bellinger because we're upset about the shit. You know what I mean?
They never did it. They never asked to talk to.
No, I know. We as a fan base pivoted to Bellinger because we were upset about the shit. And as I said, I you know, that whole Bichette thing would have been nice 100%. But that was, I don't want anyone to come on this show or whatever. I don't want to hear about anybody saying on November 1st, Bo Bichette was their prime target for the Phillies because nobody was thinking that. Nobody had Bo Bichette on their radar. They might have said it in passing, but nobody really thought it could be done. And it would have been nice, yeah, but I'm not mad about it at all.
I like your post about the Andrew Jones stuff. Why is everybody forgetting Ken Griffey Jr.? Why?
Why is everybody forgetting Willie friggin' Mays, man? I mean, to sit there and say Andrew Jones is the greatest defensive center fielder in the history of baseball is ignorance. You are straight up slapping the face of Ken Griffey Jr. and perhaps the best defensive center fielder ever, Willie Mays. You're slapping them in the face. Andrew Jones was not the greatest defensive center fielder ever to play the game. He was very good. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame quality player.
I would go Andrew Jones fourth.
What's that?
I would go Andrew Jones fourth.
I'm not even going to put him in the top 10. All right. I mean, I could do. I'll sit down and do a list one of these days and rank the all-time top 10 by position. In my opinion,
I think you're good at that stuff.
But I don't think Andrew Jones is going to make my top 10 in center field. I don't think he is. I think Richie Ashburn is a goddamn better defensive center fielder than Andrew Jones. Honestly,
the dude.
He might. Well, Andrew Jones did have some staying power, but when he hit 30, Jones fell off a cliff offensively when he was 30. After he turned 30. But listen, I'm not gonna listen to some ignorant people say that Andrew Jones outclasses Ken Griffey Jr. And I'm just naming two, Griffey and Willie Mays, in center field as defense. It's completely disrespectful to two of the game's greats.
I want to see your all-time top 10 if you can one of these days.
I'll try to work it out, man. That's a lot of work.
I know you're very busy running this.
Yeah, running this and sleeping. Yeah.
Why are the Flyers playing better on the road? Did you notice that?
I haven't really noticed that.
And Harrison is playing better on the road.
I'm surprised Harrison got to start. I thought they would go with Kovaslov tonight in order to give Harrison as much time as he needed for the Avalanche. I'm really surprised. If they're going to go back with Kovaslov against the Avalanche, it's going to be a 9-0 game.
Yeah. All right. That's it for tonight.
All right, Joe. See you tomorrow?
Yep.
All right. So Joe Hale beat me to the punch. By the way, Joe, thanks for tuning in. I did put out a post. So just a little transparency. I'm not going to say everything. I'd say 99.9% of the stuff you see on social media comes from me personally. One other person has admin rights to our social media accounts. I'm not going to say his name, but he can put stuff up too. But 99% of the stuff that's coming out right now is coming from me. And I did put up a post earlier. I've been hearing it all over the place today. The justification of Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not. I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, the class they were up against was not what you would call top heavy with a lot of like legendary talent, right? They deserve their shot. They deserve to be there. I'm not going to sit here and jump on that. Yeah, well, could we talk about Beltran and Trashgate can? Yeah, we can. I get that. But I'm not going to say they don't deserve to be there. But to hear the total disrespect that Andrew Jones is the greatest defensive center fielder in the history of the game of baseball made me actually physically ill. I listen, and I didn't hear from just one person. I heard from multiple people on multiple platforms. And each one of those people is ignorant. And I put a plea up on my little post. I said, if you truly believe that, if you truly think, just to name two other center fielders that you might have heard of, Ken Griffey Jr. and Willie Mays, if you're really going to put Andrew Jones above them two defensively, then please stop talking about baseball forever, because you're embarrassing yourself by your lack of knowledge of the sport. Willie Mays might have been the best defensive player in the history of the game. Maybe next to Ozzie Smith. Right? And Griffey, come on, man. I mean, I know towards the end of their careers, they left center field and moved to left field, respectively. I think Mays bopped around the entire outfield, but he made his bones in center field. Griffey made his bones in center field. And to sit there and say that Andrew Jones is the best defensive center fielder in the history of the game has got to be one of the more ignorant things I've ever heard in my life. And it really upset me. It really upset me because I'm not going to allow stuff like that to be said without firing back. So let's see what Michael Papernick has to say. Mike, what's up, man?
What's up, Matty? Well, you know what? I did back in November say Bichette was going to be a Philly, but you said
all right, one person did. One person on the radar.
Yeah. So look, me personally, I think Andrew Jones did belong in the Hall of Fame. But now here's a stat. Check this out. My buddy sent me this the other day. Only 4 players in MLB history have 10 Gold Gloves and over 400 home runs. Mike Schmidt, Ken Griffey, Willie Mays, and Andrew Jones.
So Griffey had 10. Mays had 12.
Schmidt had 10 or more. That's what they're saying. He's saying 10 or more.
You're going to say, I want to ask your opinion. You put Willie Mays up against Andrew Jones defensively.
No.
Who's the better one?
Oh, Willie Mays is. I'm talking about. I think. Look, Gary Maddox was really good in center field. He had what, 8,
Absolutely.
9, whatever. Okay, I think for the body of work that he did early in his career, Andrew Jones, that's what he's getting recognized for.
And I'm okay with that. I'm not upset that he made the Hall of Fame, but the comparison to the statement of he's the best center fielder ever to play the game is ridiculous.
No. Yeah, they're bumbling fools. Or I'll use your word, they're buffoons. You know, I mean, now I got to get to something. Listen, I can make this real simple for Howie. Just fire Sirianni, let a real head coach come in and hire his own offensive coordinator, and don't draw somebody in. Now, here's why I say that. It does fall on, like Joe said, is drama. Brown, Hurts, and Sirianni. And if Brown gets traded, man, get the popcorn ready because he's going to unload in the media about Jalen Hurts and how things went bad here. So it's all going to come out. Now, listen, I don't know if it would change a whole lot, but I think you bring a head coach in like Mike Tomlin, Jalen Hurts don't say, "Oh, I'm not running an RPO." Jalen Hurts ain't going to tell him isn't going to be like, "Oh, I'm coming late." Jalen Hurts ain't going to be like, "Well, I'm not running this offense. I'm going to run it the way I want to." You think Nagy? I mean, look, Brian Dable didn't come here because of that. Because he wants the head coach job in Buffalo.
Yeah,
that's why he's holding out. Say they had him linked to Tennessee. Say Tennessee gets an offensive coordinator, and the Eagles are still up. You don't think he'll come to Philly in a couple weeks? I guarantee he'd be in Philly in a couple weeks.
Right, what about Mike McDaniel? What led Mike McDaniel out west?
Well, I told you yesterday. He didn't want to leave the warm weather. He only said he was only doing interviews with the Chargers. He kicked out. As soon as I seen he kicked Cleveland out, I said he don't want to come to the East Coast where it's cold. He said he was doing interviews with the Chargers and Tampa Bay, and that was it.
Then why not take the job? Why not ask the Raiders for their head coaching job and become the head coach of the Raiders?
Maybe the Raiders didn't offer it to him.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong about Mike McDaniels. I don't think he wants to hang out in the cold weather either, and I don't blame him, man. It's freezing up where I'm at right
you know
now.
what? I'm not a Mike McDaniel head coach fan. I think he's a better offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But I think he's learned real fast this. Go back to being an offensive coordinator. Let's let things settle down, and then I get to pick and choose when there's a year with good opportunities out there that I might get. Well, who wants to go to the Raiders? Not me. Who wants to go to the Cardinals? Not me. No. Maybe Cleveland. Maybe they got 2 first-round picks. I mean, but you got to deal with the owner.
Yeah, and the 9 quarterbacks that are currently on the roster.
Does he want to go to? That's it. Does he want to go to Buffalo with a GM? And I'm not defending Josh. But with a GM that don't put nobody on the field or whatever, I mean, or takes away Diggs because Josh didn't want to play with him because he was a diva, like every other wide receiver in the NFL in the history hasn't been a diva at one time or another, and maybe not in public, maybe behind closed doors. I said to my buddy today, you don't think Jerry Rice has complained behind closed doors, but not in public? He just never did what T.O. and them guys did. He gets in the huddle. He's probably telling Joe, "I want the ball every time." Every time. Don't give it, but Nagy, listen, first off, we're going to bring this guy in. He was a horrible head coach with Chicago. And he don't call plays. He's just a yes man for Andy down there. He don't call plays. So I don't want him. Just go get Cliff Kingsbury. That's all.
Well, Nagy had that one good year with Chicago. He had that one good year with Trubisky, and they got to the playoffs. Double doink year. That was his one good year, and they were trending in the right direction. And then it kind of fell apart after that. But listen, Mike, I get you. But back to Mike McDaniel for a second. Do you think you don't think he chose Josh Herbert Herbert over Hurts, right? You thought it was just purely to go out west
No,
where the warm weather was?
No. Do I think he looked? Yes, he picked. But here's the difference with Josh Herbert.
Justin Herbert. I'm sorry.
Oh, Justin. He's won. He hasn't won a playoff game. I don't think, right? Or did he win one this year?
No, he has not won any.
Okay. Now he's going to go out there. Why wouldn't you come here with all this talent? Maybe he don't want to deal with Sirianni and all the. It's probably Sirianni and all that bullshit that comes with it. But the point is, you got a head coach with no backbone here. None whatsoever. He is zero backbone, and why do you think these offensive coordinators want autonomy? They don't want him sticking the nose into this.
I agree.
So, and Mike McDaniels, I look, it was Justin Herbert and Baker Mayfield. Now, I'm going to go there out there. I'll be with Jim. He'll be a head coach in maybe another 2 years again. Maybe I think
he never actually interviewed for this job. The Eagles never had him here. He never came here.
No, I do. I actually don't think he. I think he wanted to be the West Coast guy because remember he was in San Francisco, then went to Miami. Why would you want to go anywhere cold after that?
I agree.
That's just my opinion on that one.
I think there's some fire where this smoke is about the drama. I definitely think there's a word around the NFL that people are a little leery of coming here.
Yeah, but check this out: the almighty dollar tops all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's it. Just look. Dable didn't come here because he has aspirations to be a Buffalo's coach. I'll repeat that again. That's it right there. So you're left to Kafka. No, they got a whole bunch. Nagy, Atlanta's all hit. Cooter, whatever his name is, Billy Bob. I already know one Cooter from Dukes of Hazzard.
Crazy Cooter. Yep, Crazy Cooter's coming.
They're talking about they were talking about how when he went to Detroit in 2010, he with Matthew or 15, 16, or whatever it was in them years, how he lit it up, how he was throwing the ball deep and all that. Well, listen. First off. You got to get A.J. Brown on first. You got to get him on board to want to catch a deep ball because he hasn't wanted to catch a deep ball this whole season. About. So, I mean, that's number one. This team's a mess. Now I'm going to get to your Phillies. Matty, you are going to get your wish. You're going to see one player. Well, maybe Andrew Joe. Well, I'm talking one position player. You think Rincones is going to be the start in left field over Brandon over Marsh?
Otto Kemp will make the team out of spring training. So I'm going to see two.
I'm talking about starting. I'm talking about starting players on the field.
I got one.
That's it. I mean, Rincon should be in left field. Just throw him out there. These kids are hungry. Let them play. But they're not going to do that. And if they sign, I don't know much about Ariza. I can guarantee Bryce Harper don't want. You know why Bryce Harper won't go to the outfield? Because it ain't Pete Alonso. It isn't a big star that could take over his spot.
Well,
Bryce won't go to the outfield.
He's going to have to go to the outfield or they got to trade Bohm. One or the other. And I still think they got to trade Bohm regardless. Bohm's got to go, man. Bohm's got to go.
But the problem is who's taking him?
That's the point. I got you. And to sit here with our head in the sand and say what Thompson said yesterday was if somebody asked them if they had signed Bichette, what were they going to do with Bohm? Who was going to play first, right? Because they were going to have to move people around. And Thompson turned around and said, "Who says we were moving Bohm?" I never said that. We never said we were moving him.
Yeah, see, he's a bum.
There's some options here. I mean, that's ridiculous, man. Of course they were going to move Bohm. To think that they were going to keep Bohm is ridiculous.
Let's start this over. I'm going to start this over. We got a buffoon, bubbling fool manager that we have to put our team in the hands of and have a lineup that we think it's – because, look, we do have a number 2 hitter, but he won't put him there in Alec Baum, okay? Yep. He won't put Crawford there either. So my lineup would be Turner, Baum, Harper, Schwarber, Garcia, Rincones, JT, Stott, Crawford. Rincones is a power hitter. Put him out there. Let him hit the ball. Let him do what he's got. What's the worst thing that happens? He craps the bucket. Okay. Whatever. I mean, You go sign. Look. You sign Party Boy. You're going to bring Wilson back. So what's the difference? You're going to have 2 cheerleaders on the team.
That's it.
You know,
I agree.
I mean, you got this guy running the team. When I mean running, he's the manager. He makes day-to-day decisions. I don't think this guy can make a sandwich on his own, let alone anything else. And they put this team in his hands. I've been saying this for after the World Series. Fire this guy. All I got was shot down every week. Not by you, but shot down. Get rid of this bumbling. Get rid of this guy. Move on. Don Mattingly's got to be sick. Don Mattingly reminds me of a guy I worked with. Okay? And the running joke was, your daughter's 2 years old and smarter than you. Don Mattingly's got to be sitting there going, what did I get myself into?
This guy's an idiot.
Why am I managing the team and not getting paid for it?
That's what I'm saying. And there was, when they brought him here, and they had that press conference where I've never seen this before either. Rob Thompson's at the Don Mattingly press conference, and they're doing a joint Zoom thing, and they're both answering questions. And Don Mattingly was kind of cornered into, what was his aspirations to manage again. Now, what is Don Mattingly going to say while sitting on a Zoom call with Rob Thompson? Oh, yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm going to take this idiot's job. No, he said, well, my managing days are over. I guarantee you, Papernick, when or if this thing gets off to a real slow start, and they turn to Mattingly sometime in late May or early June and say, hey, Don, just go in for the rest of the year and we'll talk about it at the end of the year. He's going in as the manager. He's not probably even going to.
That'd be great if he shot. That'd be great if he shot it down. But what I'm saying is he's probably going to be managing the team. They probably said, look, Robbie, you asked Don every move that's got to be made. Don't you dare make a move. You asked Don. You're just the face that's going to go out there, the errand boy. You're going to go out there and make the moves. Don's making everything. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like that. I mean, why would Robbie care? You said it. They gave him next year's like a severance pay. So he'll get 2 years like a severance pay. What's the difference? They just shipped him back to Canada 3 years ago where he belonged. He's in their Hall of Fame. I played wiffle ball with guys in Feltonville that could have made the Canadian Hall of Fame. What's it take to make it? If Robbie made it, that's got to be a low.
And Matt Stairs made it too.
Come on. This guy – Well, Matt Stairs has a big home run in baseball.
Yes, he does.
Against the Dodgers, was it?
Yep. One of the biggest in Phillies history.
What was Uncle Charlie's words to Matt when he said, "What's Matt Stairs?" I just want him to hit home runs. That's all he's here for, is hit home runs. Yep. That's his job. That's it. And that's why the Phillies should sign Rhys Hoskins. You don't want him to play anywhere else. Maybe a couple games at first, maybe a little DH here or there. He's your guy you put up there to try to hit home runs, because when Stubbs or Marchand or Sosa or Marsh or whoever walks up there, they're not fearing nobody. When Matt Stairs walks up there, there's a little fear because he can hit the ball 600 feet if he connects the right way. And the difference between Stairs and Hoskins is Hoskins has hit 30 home runs plus a year. So he could put the fear a little bit more in these pitchers. But no, it's look, as the dummy said upstairs, Dombrowski, we're content.
Well, I'll tell you what, Papernick. You know who's not
no
content?
Playoffs.
You know who's not content?
No playoffs.
Hang on, Papernick. You know who's not content? You know who's not content? The New York Mets. They just pulled off a trade. Freddie Peralta from the Brewers is on his way to Flushing. They just traded for Freddie Peralta from the Brewers. So they got themselves so the Mets finally got a pitcher.
We're running 40-year-old guys out there. We're running a softball. We're running a softball team out there.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. You know what?
Well, we're content. The Mets aren't.
The Phillies have surpassed the Mets as the worst offseason I've seen in a long time. They're such bumbling fools.
Yep.
I mean, like they you say it all the time. They think they're like the fans of Philly, like we're not smart. And these people will go out there like sheep and defend Robbie and defend this organization on what they're not doing. Like, no, man, I don't, man. I hope Robbie gets fired and look at Don. Don goes, no, I quit. That would be. You talk about everything that could go my way in 1 year that'd be perfect. Is Robbie's gone? Don said, "I ain't taking over this mess." And JT becomes player manager or something.
JT, okay.
Dusty, it gets even worse. It's just. Well, listen. Well, you know why I would take JT, because he's got a brain. I don't think Dusty. He'll just run everything the way Robbie ran it. So they're all like robots out there. You know, these guys must look at Robbie and go,
"That would be awesome." I would love that. That would be awesome.
I think when JT retires, I think he's going to make a good manager in baseball. JT.
I agree. Oh, I lost Michael Papernick. Papernick fell off, everybody. All right, well, I'm sure he'll try to get back on. Joe Hale's reporting that Freddie Peralta is about to be a Met. Jose is also chiming in with this. Mets just keep improving. And then Freddie Peralta to the Mets. So, yes, it is official. Freddie Peralta has been dealt to the New York Mets as the Mets now continue to get a little bit better. So, what's that? Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette, Luis Robert, and Freddie Peralta have now joined the Mets as the Mets are making a push. Let's see if Papernick's back. You back, man?
Yeah, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, I don't know what happened. You know,
all good.
That's the spectrum internet up here. It's horrible. You know,
all good.
But I mean, think about this team. I mean, they do have potential. Don't get me wrong, they do. But you got a manager who's going to mess it all up. He's going to lose you 10 to 20 games a year. You got a guy in Alec Baum who's mentally wrecked because he thinks he's got to hit 40 home runs batting fourth, and he's not an RBI guy. He don't know how to swing the bat, you know. And when he hits doubles and 15 home runs and he hits 90 RBIs, and people are killing him because he's not hitting 30. Well, he's not a 30 home run guy. I hate to say it. And the Phillies only have one guy on this team, one guy, and I'm not putting Harper in there because I think Harper can hit 30 to 32 this year. I think he can hit there. If he's healthy, he'll hit it. There ain't nobody hitting over 35 home runs but Schwarber. There ain't nobody.
No, I agree.
That's it. And we're hoping Garcia. I think Garcia, if he can give you 23 to 25 home runs, I think that's a win for the Phillies. He's only on a 1 year deal. It's going to come down to these other guys got to get on base. Robbie when these guys get on base, he don't steal bases. I mean, they can only throw the ball 3 times over there. Just whatever. I mean, why wait to the third time? Then the catcher knows you're going to be stealing.
Yeah.
That's come on. I mean, look, I could take a T-ball team from Tabor Rams, and that manager could outcoach Robbie.
Listen, Mike, you're right, and we're not. You're talking like this is mid-July. We're in January. We haven't even started the season, and we're already up in fire against this. This is not a good sign heading into the season, man. Everybody is so rightfully so. I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but I mean, good God, we're not even. That's spring training hasn't started yet, and we're already feeling this way. I hope for the Phillies' sake and for our sake, it's not a dumpster fire this year. I really do.
I'm just going to say this. There will be people out there that will defend this guy. I will not say names. I will not say nothing about nobody because I love everybody. But there's going to be people out there that's going to defend this guy when I go on there and say, fire him. He's horrible. I don't care if he wins the World Series. Pink slip him. I don't care if they win 162 games. Pink slip them. I'd pink slip them right now. Look, I'm stressed out since this guy's been manager. I think the last time I was stressed out like this, and I was even stressed out when Clinton ran the team. I don't think I ever was. This guy stresses me out because he's bad. Nick Leyva. I would take Nick Leyva 3 times on Sunday over Rob Thompson to make a baseball decision in a game.
Nick Leyva.
And that's bad.
Man. We're going way back. Yeah. Most people don't know who Nick Leyva was there, Papernick, but I remember who that was. Yeah.
Listen, I'd take look, you could take any of the worst managers in baseball. I'd take him over Robbie. People will say, he won 90. Well, you know what? They accidentally win them games because of the talent they got, but it ain't because of him. It's like the Eagles. They're not winning because of Sirianni. I hate to say these. It's accidental. They're just winning because they got talent. But this year, it's going to bite them in the butt. Third place. Harper's go. I'm glad he didn't sign Bichette because Harper would have cried. He wanted more money because Schwarber and Bichette are making more money, and he's going to ask to be traded. I listen. You know what? If he wants to be traded, that's fine. Trade him and get a boatload back here. Maybe we'll win a World Series because you know what? We got 6 or 7 years left with this guy. Right now, it's a complete bust in my book with that guy on this team.
And that's a topic that we're going to get into later on. But you're right. Has Bryce Harper really panned out? And that's a great topic that I'm sure is going to be a very hot one in a few years. Yeah. Well,
here you go. I'm going to let you go on this. The World Series year, he only played like 60, whatever, how many games he played. He only hit 16 home runs that year. Schwarber carried that team with 45. Now in the World Series, Harper had 3 more RBIs than Schwarber, and they had the same amount of home runs. I think they did. But it was close.
Harper won the NLCS MVP.
Yeah, well, I'm talking, but the World Series. But he didn't. Harper just can't stay healthy. Man, we killed Harper's he's a freak, but he can't just stay healthy. Somewhere along the way, they got to bite the bullet and just. I don't care. Give them to the Yankees. Give them to the Red Sox. I don't care. They always got good talent. We'll just take it back off them.
Right. I would make that trade. I talked about it last year, starting to look at maybe options to move him along. I agree. Papernick. I
mean, they need pitching. They don't. I mean, they don't have a left fielder sticking. They don't have. I mean, this is bad. I mean, third place. They ain't making the playoffs this year. I'm going to say that right now. They are not making the playoffs.
I disagree, Papernick. I think they make the playoffs. I don't think they win their division, but I think they get in. And the fortunate part about it was we have the whole season yet to go. This is going to be a fun summer, man. This is going to be a fun summer.
Listen. I hope it ends early and they fire Robbie right before spring training starts. I hope they fire. I hope I wake up tomorrow morning and he's fired. Somebody wakes up in that, or John Middleton. I want to be the George Steinbrenner of the South. That's what Jimmy Rollins said. Well, George Steinbrenner fired that what's we call it? Billy. What was his name?
Billy Martin.
And Billy Martin was drunk in the clubhouse, and he fired him, 2-3 times, and he brought him back, and they won World Series because George has the set. This owner he lost his set. He's listening to the dummy upstairs running the team. Man, I'm not the smartest guy.
Steinbrenner Billy Martin thing, but I hear you saying.
No, what I mean is like Steinbrenner would have canned Thompson by now.
Yeah,
he would have canned him. That's what I'm talking about. Canned him and brought a real manager in. You do the eye test. It ain't about nothing. It's the eye test, what you see in the field. And he has he produced the last 2 years in the playoffs? No. Does he kiss all the stars' ass? Yes. He don't kiss nobody else's ass but the stars. He kisses the first 3 guys in the lineup's ass where they want to bat at. Everybody else, it's a crapshoot where you're going to bat the next day.
Or the game after that, All right, Papernick.
That's it. Yeah, that's true. All right, you have a good night, Matty.
All right, my Papernick. Wow, man, get him rolling on the Rob Thompson stuff, man. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and deny or say I don't agree with any of it. I agree with all. And I get it. I understand, and I can't believe I'm coming out on this side of us all. I understand the frustration. I do. If there's anybody here that understands that more than me, I don't know who that is. I saw the train wreck. We all saw it. Most of us have seen heading into these seasons since 2022, since 23. And you're looking at this team like, okay, well, they didn't really get much better. All right. They're losing the NLCS. To come back in 24, well, they really didn't get much better. They get knocked out in the first round by the Mets. Come back in 25. Well, they don't look that much different. And they get knocked out in the first round. Most people had their heads in the sand about the Phillies up until this year when it didn't work again. And then I think that's where we've all kind of hit our breaking point. I think the majority of the fans have caught up with each other by the end of this past season. And then that's why I thought it was a pivotal 2026 offseason to maybe give the fans a little bit of something what they wanted to kind of just get them off their back. And the Phillies didn't do that. The Phillies continued to do things the status quo, and they've set a bad taste in people's mouths. But I think there's something behind the scenes. I do. And what I mean by that is they only have they have two options. They have two options in 2026. Running it back or letting the young players play. And that means Raconis, Crawford, at some point Miller, Painter. They're the only two options they have. Now, what option they're going to choose? Do they do a combination of both? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I never thought it was an option. There was never a C option on the table for me. I never thought they were going to be big-time players this free agency. I did not want them to bring back Schwarber. I thought I should have taken his money and signed somebody else. But they didn't. As far as Real Mutual went, not that I wanted him back. There just wasn't any other options out there. So he had to come back. But anyway, to catch you up, as Papernick was going off there, Joe says, who was better, Griffey Jr. or Sr.? I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. No disrespect to the big red machine of the 70s. But the old man don't hold Junior's jockstrap. Junior was a lot better than his father. A lot better. Steve checks in and says, I got myself a Sixers jersey. Good for you. What number? And then, of course, the big news, Freddie Peralta has been dealt to the Mets or is reportedly on his way to New York. And a series of package players. Let me see what I got here. New York will acquire Freddie Peralta from the Brewers in exchange for a prospect package that will include Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. And the Mets will also get right-hand pitcher Tobias Myers in the deal. So it's essentially Peralta going back to New York for a bunch of prospects. Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. And I'm sure there's probably a couple more in there. Couple questions about this trade. What are the Brewers? Obviously, the Brewers are the biggest question here is what the hell they're thinking. I mean, they haven't really done it. They've been less active than the Phillies have been this offseason. So I don't know what their idea around that is. Are they thinking Peralta was a one-year wonder? He might be. He'll be 30 this summer. He's not like he's a young man. But it satisfies a need for the Mets. They now have what? They got McLean. They got now Peralta. They got three solid pitchers in their lineup, in the rotation. That was the one missing piece. So, listen, we've seen this before from the Mets. They've stocked up before and it completely didn't work. And maybe it doesn't work this time or maybe it does. But obviously the Mets are giving their fans something to be excited about. Right? So, but interesting trade. Freddie Peralta now heading to the New York Mets. Phillies did not play the Braves in the first round. They get knocked out. What that tell you? That no MLB team wants to trade for Bohm. No MLB team wants to trade for Bohm or Castellanos. And again, I'm not going to. I bring up the Rob Thompson thing the other night when asked about with the acquisition of Bo Bichette. Who was going to play? Like, they were asking him things about like, okay, so that meant Hart kind of going over the lineup, and then Rob turned around and said, "Well, who said we're going to move off of Bohm? Who said we're going to do that?" I mean, Rob, do you think we're stupid? Of course, you're going to have to. Bryce Harper's not going to the outfield, so I don't know who the hell was playing in the outfield. Where was Bryce Harper going to play? We're going to make him a catcher again, like he played in high school. I mean, I don't know what they were going to do with Bryce Harper, but anyway. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Brewers also get cash, as Joe was saying. A little more about the trade. Even the Mets pitching is shit. The Phillies still couldn't beat the Mets 2 years ago and got embarrassed. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Phillies because I do want to get into this a little bit. We talked about it a little bit at the top of the show. I want to give you my actual projected starting lineup, my position players, and my pitching staff, and my bullpen. If the season were to start today or tomorrow, I guess, based on everyone that's still here, right? Now, a little context. Nick Castellanos is still a Philly, but in the purpose of this exercise, he is not part of my team. I have him selling tickets in section 302 and also selling the big giant #1 foam fingers. That's what he'll be doing for me in 2026. So Nick Castellanos will be there, but not actually playing on the field. So let's get into this because I think it's time for me to reveal Here it is. So you guys remember this graphic from earlier in this offseason when I had all my wish list players? So JT is a no-brainer at catcher. Obviously, we're going to move around the diamond. Harper at first, Stott at second, Turner at short. Third base gets a little crowded. Again, Bohm's got to get moved. There's just not enough people or not enough positions on this team to suit all these players. So at some point, this is what I think third base will look like in 2026. Bohm will probably start out playing third in spring training, probably get dealt sometime around mid-March. Otto Kemp will probably get penciled in as the starting third baseman and platoon with Sosa. And then at some point in June or July, Aiden Miller will come up and take over in third base. So third base is a little crowded right now, but I think it'll all work itself out as the season rolls on. Obviously, Kyle Schwarber is my DH. My outfield as of right now, and yes, I do have Rakonis on my team, but as of right now, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say Rakonis does not get the nod coming out of spring training as your starter. So I'm going to give it to Brandon Marsh, Justin Crawford, and Adolis Garcia. There's my outfield. My bench is Sosa, Rakonis, Rafael Marchand, and Otto Kemp. That's my bench. Okay. Starting rotation, if the season were to start tomorrow, would be Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, Walker, and Painter. My bullpen, Duran, Kerkering, Alvarado, Brad Keller, Tanner Banks, Kyle Backus, John Bolin, and Seth Johnson. Now, there's a few interchangeable pieces that you could do with the back end of the bullpen or the front end of the bullpen. I think the back end and the middle relievers are pretty set with Duran, Kerkering, Alvarado, Keller, and Banks. When we get down into the Backuses and Bolins and Johnsons of the world, those guys could be interchangeable with the other players they brought in, as well as some other minor league options like Lazar, Rangel, players like that. But I think that's your back end and your middle bullpen pretty much verbatim, right? Now we get to the interesting part, the lineup. I, like Michael Papernick, agree. Alec Bohm is the number 2 hitter. Is he a number 2 hitter on every team in Major League Baseball? Probably not. Probably not. But he's the closest damn thing that we have to an actual second hitter, to a number 2 hitter. And we're actually going, when we do our spotlight segment, which we'll do here in a minute, we're spotlighting Alec Bohm tonight. Alec Bohm is a contact hitter. He doesn't work in the 4 hole. He doesn't work in the 5 hole. He doesn't work in the 6 hole. He doesn't work in any of those holes. He's productive in the 7 hole. I don't really think the Phillies have actually given him a chance. They batted him second. They've never given him a chance and say, you know what? You're the guy. A big part of the Phillies' problem is Rob Thompson when it comes to the lineup, when it comes to the team, when it comes to consistency. Baseball is the ultimate game of consistency, the ultimate game of routine, the ultimate game of superstition, right? These players need to know their roles. What was the big thing, right? We had a bullpen with no roles. Well, we have a lineup with no roles, and we still don't have a lineup with roles. That was still a problem last year. I don't care what analytics tell you. As you can see by my lineup here, I'm all over the place. Right, left, right, left. There's no way you can make this fundamental. There's no way I can take this lineup and go lefty, righty, with it making sense. There's no way I can do it. So I'm not even going to try because it doesn't work with the players we have. Players in the lineup also need to know their roles. And this nonsense of getting promoted up to the lineup because you're having a good week has been a detriment to Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, Brandon Marsh, players like that are natural bottom of the lineup hitters. That's what they are, and it's okay to be that. You don't need to keep trying to work them out at a different spot in the lineup. Bryson Stott will never be a leadoff hitter at the Major League Baseball level. It's hard. It's high time you guys start understanding that. And he certainly is not number 2. He is a consummate 8-hole hitter. Ivan De Jesus was his role model growing up. It's a joke. For those of you who know who I'm talking about, Ivan De Jesus, if you opened up Webster's dictionary and you looked up the definition for 8-hole hitter, there's a picture of Ivan De Jesus. But that's what Bryson Stott is to me. He's an 8-hole hitter. Brandon Marsh is a 7-hole. Matter of fact, you can interchange 7, 8, 9 in this lineup. Any one of those guys could bat 7, 8, or 9. Now, Crawford projects, hopefully, as a 1 or a 2 as he gets into his career. But for right now in 2026, I'm going to start him off batting 9. So I'm going Turner, Bohm, Harper, Schwarber, Real Muto. I got Real Muto batting 5th, and I got Garcia batting 6th. Marsh, Stott, and Crawford. This is the lineup that makes the most sense if the season were to start tomorrow. It's the lineup that makes the most sense. It may not be the sexiest lineup, and again, I understand it's right, left, right, left, right, or left. I get it. But you tell me, who are we getting up here to balance this lineup? We don't have the players to balance that out. And I am not going through another summer of watching Kyle Schwarber bat 2nd. I am not going through another summer of watching Alec Bohm bat 4th. The Phillies last year ran 5 players through their leadoff spot in their lineup. And I don't mean like once or twice. No, I mean like 50, 60 times. Turner ended up having the most at leadoff. But for a while, they were battling between him and Schwarber and Stott. And Harper, I think, led off twice last year. Once or twice. Set your lineup and keep it that way. Don't move people around. Let them get comfortable in their roles. Give them roles within their lineup. And I don't care about the bitching and the moaning. I don't care if you don't like batting 4th, Kyle Schwarber, you're batting 4th. I don't care if you don't like batting 2nd, Alec Bohm, you're batting 2nd. Because it's either 2nd or the bench, because I have nowhere else to put you. So does this lineup scream to you a World Series contender? No, it does not. But it does scream of something. If you look at it in black and white, it does look a little different than last year. And if things work out, and by the end of the season, I'm staring at a lineup that has Raconis Jr. in left, Crawford in center, Garcia in right, Miller at 3rd, Turner, Bryson, Stott, Harper, Otto Kemp platooning around, whatever, then guess what? That's the young players' infusion into the lineup. And then, of course, you got Painter there as my 5th starter. There you have it. I know it's not the sexiest thing, but it's time for me to start accepting reality. And I think it's time for you guys to accept it as well. This is the reality of the 2026 Phillies. Question is it a World Series reality? And I know in January we're going to sit here and say no. I'm not going to say that. I'm going a different path this year. If they meet my requirements of playing some of these younger players and not going with the status quo, because the status quo would be not moving off of Bohm, finding a way to make Castellanos work in the outfield, keeping Crawford in the minor leagues, not really trying to not say push Aiden Miller, but really kind of egg Aiden Miller along to get up here. Put Painter back down in AAA. That would be them going through the status quo. So do I buy Rob Thompson's? Well, we've changed 20 to 25% of our lineup of our roster. That's back. Well, yeah, it is. The core players are the same. But I understand what Rob meant. And maybe if Rob would have worded that a little differently by saying that we are going to give X, Y, and Z young players a hard look this year, I think people would have accepted it better. But there you have it, folks. Matty B's 2026 Phillies roster. Not just the lineup, but my roster. Joe Hale says Flyers are up 3-0. Oh, good, Joe. At some point, I need to actually start watching that game. Papernick says he would put Garcia 5th. Yeah, they might be interchangeable. But here's the thing, though. So you're going to have Garcia protecting Schwarber? Maybe it works out that way. Maybe if it's a right-handed starting pitcher, maybe we get a little bit interchangeable when it comes to that, because Garcia's batting, I think, last year he batted 199 against lefties. And that's a whole other issue with the whole lefty-righty thing. But I get it. Yeah, I'm not against batting Romilto 5th or Garcia 6th. I'm okay with switching them around. But do you notice you don't see Schwarber batting 2nd? You don't see Bohm batting 4th. You don't see Stott leading off. I mean, this is as pure as it can get with this current group of players. And it's still not structured correctly, but it's a lot more structured than it was last year. I will say it loud and proud. The Phillies will be third in the division, not making the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs, Papernick. Again, I kind of agree with you about them not winning the division and finishing third. I think the Braves win 100 games this year. I think the Braves come back and take a lot of people by storm. Not a lot of people are really banking on the Braves. The Braves were decimated by injury last year. That's the bottom line with them. They're going to be healthy, and if they can stay healthy, I think they win 100 games. I think the Braves are the class act of the East. I really do. Oh, never announced 3-2. Well, there goes the lead. Garcia has had 25. Yeah, I know he has, and that was in 2023. I know. He was an all-star too that year. But there you have it, MattyB's. This is it. Barring any more changes, now would I like to put Luis Ariz up here in second? Yeah. Would I like to kind of unjam this group of players? Yeah. Would I like something better out here? Yeah. Would I like to put Raconis Jr. here? I would, but not right off the bat. It's not going to happen right off the bat. It's not. But as you can see, old Gabriel Raconis Jr. makes my team coming out of spring training. And yeah, I know I violate my own rule by putting a AAA player on the bench and not giving him regular playing time. But look, I'm platooning him with Brandon Marsh, for God's sakes. He'll get his time eventually. He'll get that time. Look, structure and Robbie don't go together. No, they don't. But I don't care how much baseball has changed over the years. You got to have structure to your lineup. You got to have structure to your team. I mean, finally, they actually agreed with having a bullpen with roles, and it actually worked out for them pretty good. But we'll see. Bobby Brink had a power play goal. Back in the lineup. Good to see. Phillies can't get the Marlins or Pirates or Oakland or the Rockies to even bite on Bohm. And again, that's another problem too, right? And they're so desperate now that they're offering just take Castellanos off their hands and just take some of the money. I mean, we'll eat most of it. Just take $50,000 off our hands and we'll pay the rest. They're so damn desperate to move off of Castellanos. Listen, I'm telling you, if they can't trade Casty, they're not cutting him. He will go to spring training with the team and watch that nonsense right off the bat. All right, let's go back to this. All right, so let's get to our of the night segment we're almost up to an hour and a half. Let's go to the of the night segment as we'll finish this up. All right, we're going to do one segment tonight of the night. It's a Phillies spotlight segment. That's all we're going to do. No draft tonight. We're just going to do Phillies spotlight. And it's a player who we just kind of talked about. It's the aforementioned Alec Bohm, looking really young in my AI representation. It looks like Alec Bohm's son, if he had one. That's Alec Bohm's kid. Bohm finished with a 287 batting average last year, scored 53 runs. That doesn't sound right at all. He had an OPP of 331 and OPS 740 OPS is very doable. And that's why I want him batting second. All right, 11 homers, 59 on the season. Struck out only 82 times in 486 at bats. Again, these are the numbers of a two-hole hitter. I get, Bohm doesn't necessarily scream two-hole at 6'7", 230 pounds. I understand that. But he's a two-hole hitter. That's how he bats, So that 11 home run total, 15 I could live with. You know what I mean? But until we figure out what's happening with Alec Bohm, until they get off their asses and make a move with him, because it is going to be his final year here, regardless of whether or not he plays here all season long or doesn't. This is it. He's not going to be back in 27. He'll be a free agent, and they won't bring him back. So he's definitely playing out his final year as a Philly. And that might be one of the reasons why they're holding on to him, because they know that this is it anyway. And they're going to get every last ounce of him they can. And he's a safety net. He's Aiden Miller's safety net. I mean, let's face it. He is. The Phillies are going to have to be, at some point, Aiden Miller's going to have to get up here and, because next year it'll be Aiden Miller's spot. There'll be a platoon between Miller and Kemp next season if the Phillies don't. Obviously, they won't have any money next year either, so they won't be able to sign a third baseman. But Alec Bohm is your number 2 hitter, and these numbers back that up, in my opinion. These numbers back it up. Now, Bohm is very streaky, and when he hits those skids, he hits them hard, but he is the closest thing we have in this lineup to a number 2 hole hitter, and that's just the facts. 740 OPS is respectable for a top-of-the-order hitter. Not a power hitter and not bottom of the order. It's a top of the order, and maybe at batting 2, maybe he raises that OPS by about 40 points. Maybe he can raise it by 60 points, finish with an 800 OPS. It is a contract year. Phillies would be doing themselves a disservice if they did not put Bohm in the 2-hole in 2026. And there you go. Our Philly spotlight player of the night, Alec Bohm. All right. We are not going to do the card because I have to transition to post-game things. I got to watch this Flyers game. So we're probably going to wrap this thing up here tonight. Remind everybody I'll be back tomorrow night along with the Gridiron Weekly Report and finish up the week for our broadcast week, and then we'll be back again on Sunday. So I hope everyone has a great night. Read the room better, Phillies. Read the room better, Eagles. And we didn't really touch much on reading the room for Danny B, but that's not looking too good either. But we got to read the room better. And those around us are getting better, and we're not necessarily. We keep on forgetting the Phillies have made their splashes. They have made their moves. They have. And unfortunately, those and back when we made these moves, back when we brought Harper here, Turner here, we knew that this day would come where now we're sitting on contracts of aging players. I believe this year, man, if they get the youth movement, if the status quo is not maintained, if they infuse this team with the talent that is starting to blossom in the minor league level, if they can do that, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Phillies are not going to make the playoffs. I think they are. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you they can't win a World Series either. I can't prognosticate something that's going to happen 9 months from now. All right? I can't. Even I can't do that. But if they go with the status quo, and that is with batting Schwarber second, Bohm fourth, the same friggin' thing, same players, same stuff, then the same result will happen. They can't change externally. We've seen that. They can't do it. They can change internally. And I do believe they're committed to doing that. Dave Dombrowski named these young players by name. He's never done that before. So I think we're in for that in 2026. And I hope that's what happens to the Phillies. But all right, everybody, I want to say thanks a lot for tuning in. It's Papernick. One more shot at Robbie tonight. Rob can't tie his own shoes, let alone make a baseball decision. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Oh, no. Ricky's back in ICU again. Ah, geez. All right. Send out your positive prayers and thoughts for Ricky Deal as he's struggling through this stomach issue he's having. Please, everybody. All right. Ricky's a very valuable member of our It's a Wrap Sports Team family. And let's send out our thoughts and prayers to him. Okay, Joe? Please pass. All right. And we'll talk again tomorrow. All right. So fight the good fight, Ricky Deal. We're behind you. All right, everybody. You have a good night. We'll talk again tomorrow.